What can I do for you?
Oh, little song, little dance, Batman's head on a lance. Tell me, what do you know about...
I don't know anything about Batman.
Really? Well, how about a little you and me?
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. It's time to talk about all things Batman. You obviously heard from Josh McDonald earlier on the channel when we talked about the comic book workers union. Feels like it's an impending debacle. We'll see how that goes. But we are here to talk Batman. This is what we do on Wednesdays. This is actually a pretty interesting week at Batman. We've decided to cover 4 comic books, Dark Knights of Steel. This will probably be the only time we cover it actually here on This Week in Batman. Batman 116, Batman Reptilian number 5, Arkham City, Order of the World number 2. There's a Batman Superman Authority special. Didn't seem all that interesting to me. I think there's another issue out there. Oh, the animated series one.
Yep.
Just didn't have time for that one this week because of this Dark Knights of Steel. But for the most part, this was a pretty enjoyable week. What do you think, Josh?
I thought it was a solid week overall. There's definitely 2 books that I was not crazy about. But one that I would say I just outright I don't want to say hated, but strongly disliked. But
before Josh and I get into all the details of this week's Batman comics, I forgot to mention that the Dark Knights of Steel number 1 retail exclusives from Comics Elite do not stop with the comic that Drew showed off yesterday on the channel. There's actually another Tyler Kirkham exclusive for Comics Elite. This time we've got Joker on a stallion. He got the sigil of his house or whatever. There's a second minimal trade dress cover where he's got more of a jester looking headdress on him as well. These are available right now as well. So if you like Dark Knights of Steel number 1, and here's a little spoiler, Josh and I like this comic book very much. These 2 covers are available right now at comicselite.com. Cover A, the main one, limited to 3,000 prints. Cover B is limited to 1,500 prints. These are available individually in a mystery bundle and signed by Tyler Kirkham himself. So definitely go to Comics Elite. Now let's get Josh back on the channel and talk about all of these pretty crazy Batman comics this week.
If we're starting with Dark Knights of Steel, man, you mentioned we're probably only going to cover it this week, but I think sometimes we get into weeks where the bad books are so bad, we might just lean into it for some. I know, just to have a breather of like, oh, thank God it's something fun, because I thought this was a lot of fun.
I actually quite liked it again. Myself, we obviously got Tom Taylor, Yasmin Putri are the creative team. Now, I personally am not. I'm going out of my way not to support Tom Taylor due to the things that he's doing within DC continuity. Yeah. I thought this would probably be pretty good. I really liked his DCeased. A lot of people like his Injustice. These kind of out of continuity Elseworlds, like little universes that he creates, he seems to do a pretty damn good job in. And, if you want a DC universe meets Game of Thrones, you got it. That's exactly what this comic book is.
It's definitely what this comic book is. I'm kind of with you on the Tom Taylor train right now. There's a lot of stuff he's doing that I don't care for, and I kind of wish editorial would rein him in a little bit, but I think editorial's even, pushing turbo on what he's doing instead of the opposite. But yeah, like this book for me was a lot of fun. I expected it to be pretty solid just because, again, when he gets to do his Elseworld work, it seems like that's when he's at his best. And here he kind of just he leans into so many different things, but he doesn't lean too heavily. And it makes a nice little marriage. But even the way the book starts, you're on Krypton and, it looks like a scene that we're, just used to seeing. They're going to save Clark. And you find out it's Jor-El and Laura and Clark that they save themselves and they come to Earth. And they crash land in pretty much medieval times. And Laura's about to actually have Clark. She hasn't had him yet. So their ship pops open and you've got all these knights rushing towards them, ready to kill him. And I don't know if it was on purpose or by mistake, just because he wasn't familiar with his powers here. But Jor-El just slaughters them with his heat vision right away. And in that moment, I remember thinking, oh, this is going to be interesting because this is going to be a different Clark and a different quote unquote rule than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, of course, when you get a thing like this where you have like the DC universe in medieval type times or this kind of alternate fantasy world, I love fantasy. This is really right in my wheelhouse. One of the more fun things is kind of seeing how they've used characters that we've known and what archetypes are going to be. This time we get, Black Lightning is kind of the evil king that's against
Yep.
the House of L. We've got there's like obviously Green Arrow is kind of a I don't know, he's like a Robin Hood type figure.
Yep. You've got
But he's got
Constantine.
this Green Man
Oh yeah.
who's apparently a Green Lantern like wizard type character.
Yep.
And then the Robins are like, I don't know,
Yeah.
Batman's like weird little network
Wards.
of spies. I don't know.
I mean, the Robins are pretty much the closest thing to what we have in the comics for what they represent. They're kind of the same thing here, just placed in that time. They did a lot with Constantine. Constantine's like this kind of cast out clairvoyant that's having these visions, and you know, he's kind of serving the king, but you can tell that he's just treated like garbage. He's treated like a slave. And then you even have Black Canary that comes in interesting way. Yeah, the Banshee. She's referred to as the Banshee, and you hear about her for probably like half the book before you see her. And it made sense, and I felt like it was obvious once I saw her. But
stupid when I saw her, and I was like,
I was saying, because
how do I not put that together?
I was like, who's this Banshee? Like, I'm ready to see this Banshee, and then it's like a blonde lady, and I was like, oh shit, it's Dinah. That all right. But I enjoyed it as well. I think one of the things that I found interesting earlier in the story is they refer to Bruce as a bastard early in the story. Mm-hmm. And I was like, when I read it, I was like, man, does Tom Taylor not know what a bastard is? Because you're not a bastard because you're orphaned, but that comes into play towards the end.
Yeah, because they bring up his mother and father, and I'm with you. I was still confused. And then you find out that, Jor-El
yep,
had an affair with Martha, and he is a
yep.
bastard because he's Jor-El's bastard son.
Yep.
That's is also like, I don't know, is number one knight. And he's there essentially to protect the House of L in this medieval times against magic. Apparently they have all these people in this dungeon, and one of them being Black Canary. We don't know who the other characters are. I want to see this dungeon.
I want to see this dungeon as well.
Put in there.
Yep, I am right there with you.
Where's
I want to see who else they have in there. I would say they probably wouldn't be able to keep him there, but I'm curious to see who else they have in there because my mind started racing. Like, all right, what other people have powers that have
that's a fun tease that they put in there. That there's these match-powered characters down there, but they haven't exploded. Like, oh, who's it going to be? Yep,
it's that hook suspense of like. Even if you don't find yourself interested in the story, which I thought the setup for the story was actually solid, there's something there that you want to come back just to discover who these other people are. And like you said, just see how they're going to use certain characters. Because even the characters we mentioned, they've been brought into play, but they didn't really do much, except for Green Arrow, Green Lantern at the very end. So there's that intrigue there of, okay, where are they going to come back into the story and how? Because they will.
Yeah, but we haven't seen Wonder Woman yet, and we obviously haven't seen a Flash character yet. So those big reveals are still, waiting to be seen.
And what if the dungeon is full of heroes or people that we know of heroes that just happen to be there because they have powers?
Yeah, maybe that's where Wonder Woman is.
Do you want to talk about how the book ended?
Yeah, I mean, we can. There's the Green Lantern, like magician kind of character, enchanted Green Arrow's bow. It was obviously had some kryptonite in it, and we get an assassination.
Yeah. So the assassination happens pretty much right as Jor-El is telling Bruce that Bruce is his son, and then in that moment, Jor-El just gets like killed. He gets an arrow through the eye, takes him out. And, it's fair to say that Jor-El and Laura have already kind of been ruling this land with an iron fist. But I think this is only going to make things worse. So I'm curious to see how things unfold for here and where they go. Because I think we're going to see so many of these characters that we're used to seeing out of traditional roles. I don't think our heroes will be heroes, and I don't think our villains will necessarily be villains. So I think that'll be a fun take as well.
What else is cool is the relationship between Clark and Bruce in this is that, Clark is being protected. We don't, he's the protected prince. But Jor-El, before he dies, specifically says, if I had my way, Bruce, you would be on the throne.
Yep. Yeah.
There might be a power play between the two to see who's going to take over the throne.
Yeah, I don't think their relationship is going to be the best as the story continues. And it's very clear that Bruce was closer to Jor-El than Clark is.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought the art by Yasmin Putri was perfectly great.
Yep.
It definitely fit a fantasy type story. I like stuff like this. Some people might call it fan service, and it is fan service. You can do whatever you want in this. This isn't continuity. These aren't real versions of the characters.
Yeah.
It's taking the archetypes, twisting them to meet into a story like this, where normally you're like, well, Wes, you're always saying, writers should make their stories fit the characters. But this isn't continuity. This isn't supposed to be the characters. That's why I think these are fun to go and examine every once in a while. And I quite enjoy it. I give it like 4.5 out of 5, like highly recommend, even though I'm not going to continue reading it. Fuck Tom Taylor.
I will let you know. I'm torn. At this point, I'm so desperate to read things that I enjoy that we'll see. I'll support things that I support. But you mentioned something. You mentioned fan service, and I wanted to say I hate this whole concept that fan service is a bad thing. I think if you do it all the time, sure, it's terrible. But every now and then, you need to deliver some fan service, and I think the writers and publishers might do well to keep that in mind. And fans, stop complaining when we do get fan service. Just shut up and take it.
Yeah, I think it works in this setting.
Agreed.
Let's move on to Batman 116 as Fear State just, I don't know, whimpers out to the end here. James Tynion and Jorge Jimenez. Once again, it looks fantastic, but once again, we have an ineffective loser Batman that cannot do anything right. It's crazy. He walks right into Scarecrow, and Scarecrow's going to destroy the whole city. He's got the thing in his hand. He throws a batarang, knocks it out of his hand. Oh, Batman's going to win? No. He's too stupid to knock him out afterwards or wrap him up. So he just picks it back up.
Yeah. This whole thing, man, on one hand, I will say I'm glad that something is actually happening in this story, but God, it's just terrible. Because even before you get to that point, Batman confronts Scarecrow, and he's got this mind machine device, and he programs it to pretty much attack.
Magic
Molly.
Molly.
You know what? I almost called her Mighty Molly because of you, and I was like, fucking Wes. Miracle Molly, he does it to attack Miracle Molly, so she's feeling all these pains and stuff, and then he just stands there and is like, stop it. And I'm
what
like,
are you doing?
Just like nice. One punch. Like you could do like 25% of your strength and punch him and he's out. And Scarecrow does say like, oh, if I turn this dial, it'll make her, where she can't remember anything and she'll be brain dead. And I get it, but it's like you were so close. You still could have punched him even before then. But then, you get to the point where Batman does make a move. He throws a batarang, knocks the device out of Scarecrow's hands. And then despite being further away from the device and Scarecrow getting knocked down towards the device, instead of going after Scarecrow, he tries to go after the device. And I was like, what are you doing, man? Just like if you would have gone for him.
Punch his ass and knock him out.
Did you just say donkey punch his ass?
Yeah, right in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Punches
look, desperate times, desperate measures. Like I would have done the same thing. And like you got a whole city going to chaos above. Like I think it's fair to just knock the shit out of him.
Yeah, don't kill him, but you can knock him out.
Yes, but instead we get Batman standing around just screaming, "Stop! Please stop! Don't do this! Stop it!"
No.
Yeah, he's.
So Peacekeeper 1 had to step in and do the right thing. Because Batman's a loser and he can't win without someone else doing it for him.
Yeah. James Tynion's whole run, he's had to have someone step in and save him or finish the job every single time. And look, Batman doesn't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to win all the time. But dear God, you make him so incompetent that it just stinks. And yeah, Peacemaker. So, and this was another thing I didn't like. We see Peacemaker and he's on a table and he's on another like mind machine, and it's just really just effing with him and getting him even more messed up than he was before. And then out of nowhere, he somehow manages to break free from this mind machine without anyone noticing, and he shoots Scarecrow, and he seems to be like, I don't want to say perfectly normal because he's always been a little unhinged and off, but he's normal. He's fine. He's not like freaking out like he's been for a few issues, and it made no sense to me.
Doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to end.
Well, that's the truth. I mean, it looks like we rushed towards the end with this issue, so I'm okay with that.
So
I do feel like we should mention the whole Poison Ivy bit, though.
We did get Poison Ivy in the end, and the big reveal. I think it was supposed to be a bit dramatic. I was just glad it was over. You've got Goddess Poison Ivy gets interrupted by Harley Quinn, who's got whatever's left of Poison Ivy.
Yep.
And the two meet each other face to face.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be a cliffhanger. It was not. They finally had Poison Ivy throw her roots through the city, so they're bursting through topside Gotham now. It's supposed to feel like the stakes increased, and I don't feel like they did. Again, I'm just like, dear God, please let this end.
That's my feeling. I'm going to be generous and give this a 2 out of 5, but don't read this.
It's very kind of you.
Yeah, it's better than the last issue.
It was better. Well, that's because something actually happened.
Yeah,
nothing
issue was unreadable.
Oh man, it was bad.
Let's get into something. We're getting into the Batman Reptilian number 5. And I was not very happy with the last issue. I think it took a weird right turn. The art kind of went down and everything. But this issue, obviously Garth Ennis, William Sharp on it this time. I enjoyed it more because I've stopped expecting any type of logical or serious story. And if you just stop expecting a cool Batman story and just read it for what it is, there's some really weird shit going on here.
There's some really weird shit. Yeah, maybe I need to just change my expectations.
Turn your brain off and be like, how do you write that? Like, the baby wants to breed with the mother thing that Killer Croc is.
Oh my god!
And Batman thinks it's hilarious. Okay. He's like ribbing him the whole time, and we see like the monster. He's got like puckered red lips, like it wants to kiss him.
Yeah. There's so many things to like. I've got to rewind. So to start off, we do find out that Croc was an alien mix. He's an alien experiment. So that already, I was like, fuck, I hate this. But then we jump into like, yeah, I think if I read it more from the perspective of Batman is really just kind of like having a laugh at the situation and Killer Croc, I probably would have enjoyed it more because he's got that one line at the very beginning where he's like, okay, yeah, so give it a suckle. And it's like, it's just so absurd, man. But yeah, you've got this giant alien baby. And at first it seemed like it just wanted to feed. And then they're talking about how a Killer Croc doesn't have teats for it to feed. So then the whole like hermaphrodite thing comes into play. And then it's like you get a panel of this alien baby and it looks like it's got these giant red lips like with lipstick on. And then they make a comment that it bends over to present itself so it can be breeded, which now you're getting into like ideas of incest. It's weird. It's so weird.
No one's having more fun with this than Batman. He's just ribbing him the whole time. He's like, you think you can handle this?
Yeah.
Pop's like, no, I don't want that. He's like, well, it's too bad. Better give it a go.
Yeah, he's definitely, I need to go back and reread it from that perspective. I'll probably enjoy it more. I still think it's completely absurd. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of it, but I will probably enjoy it more. I did like, you've got the Russian guy from the beginning of the story, and Batman's going to use him as bait, but he tricks him to make him, like, he reassures him, like, no, I'm not going to use you as bait. I'm trying to protect you. I'm sending you a car. When the car gets in there, get in it. And the Batmobile pulls up, and the Russian character's like, holy shit, like, what? No way. And he's like, get in the car. It's the only thing that can protect you. So he gets in, and the moment he's in the Batmobile and it shuts, he's like, oh, by the way, you're bait. So I enjoyed that moment. But yeah, overall, I'm hit or miss with this.
If you don't take the book seriously and you're not expecting like a cool Batman story, I think it's enjoyable just for the absurdity and the weirdness that's going on. So yeah. I had to turn off my critic brain that I had last week, because if I would have thought about it the same way this week, it would have been like, this is unreadable again. But this is really weird. This is really weird.
I mean, we got to be honest. The past 2 issues, we had like 3 issues of setup feeling like it was a horror book, you know, there was a murder mystery. And then the past 2 issues took a hard right into this just weird territory. But yeah, I think if I turn off my brain, I'll probably enjoy it more. Like
the idea that Batman's like, it wants to fuck. I don't want to do that. It's like, it's too bad. It's puckered up. It's ready to go. Like,
We just need a sound clip from Waterboy. You can do it. You can do it all night long.
Absolutely. It's so strange. Just on the absurdity and the weird art that Liam Sharp does throw in there, with the puckered lips, and we got Killer Croc trying to like rub his pheromones off on like homeless people. Wait, they weren't homeless. I think they were looking for puffins or something. Like I thought that was pretty funny too.
Well, that became another side plot. Like it's bad. Batman was like having a shit with it, and then it becomes serious, and he's like, no, you can't breed because the pregnancy is going to create pheromones that make people angry or something. I just said okay and went with it. But
yes, I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. Marge, I recommend if you want to read something weird, this is the book for you.
That is very generous. I would probably give it like a 2 out of 5, but. Y'all have to go read the issue and then comment and let us know what you think. So who's right, Wes or me?
It's entertaining, sort of. Let's get into the last one. This is Arkham City, Order of the World. There's no Batman in here, but we are in Gotham, and it's happening kind of during Fear State, I think. I think it's in continuity, but it might not be. Who knows? This is Dan Waters and Danny.
I mean, they're talking about. Yeah, they have a line in here where they're talking about scarecrows like running chaos in the city. So it's definitely happening during Fear State, but it seems very disconnected from it.
I enjoyed the first issue, although I came away going, who am I supposed to be rooting for here? I was like, I'm not really sure. I love this issue far more. I think this really used the setup of the very first issue and really expands on it. You got a pretty cool little weird mystery about Double X, which is really out there. And the art serves the story well, and they're really building some things on with the 10-eyed man and this Gotham PD officer that's working with this doctor from Arkham Asylum. I really liked it. I thought it was almost borderline brilliant, this issue.
Yeah, I thought it was a really solid book. Where the first issue kind of relied on the creep factor to kind of hook you in and interest you. This issue really kind of lays out a lot of the exposition and what's going on and develops the story. But it's exposition that's done well. And it's got that slow burn because they're doing a show versus tell. So instead of saying like, hey, this is what's happening, this is what's taking place, you actually get to see it unfold. So I would say like the first quarter of the book, I was like, man, this seems like it's just kind of dragging. And then as the kind of pieces started falling into place and I could tell where it was going, I got more excited. Because there is this mystery here, and the 10-eyed man is searching for something or trying to figure something out. And then you've got the doctor who I wasn't sure I should root for, but it's almost like you get her stance much more clear in this issue of why she's helping him and why she's going along. And it's almost like her mindset is this is the lesser evil, and not along with it could potentially be more dangerous. So that kind of gets infused in there a little bit. You do have the cop that's in the background. And then you have Azrael's storyline come into picture a little more with the tease at the end of what will come next. So I'm definitely excited to see where this goes. And again, I think the writing is just solid writing, and it's not this typical kind of like comic.
No, this is a comic
we've gotten
book,
used to.
Comic book that we got. There's a story here with this Double X character and what's going on with him, and it's resolved by the end. Yep, and it's leading into a bigger story.
I appreciate too that we're dealing with people that are villains and criminals, and we're not afraid to shy away from them being villains and criminals. Like I feel like some of these people are just terrible people, and there's supporting characters in here that are definitely terrible people as well. But yeah, just the exploration of what's going on, I'm hooked into it, and I can't wait to see what else they deliver.
And keeping that Double X character in a dungeon, almost like the Gimp from Pulp Fiction, so people could come in there and touch him and use him as like a drug.
Yep.
Pretty. I mean, we've seen similar stuff, but I thought it was a really cool execution. And especially when Azrael shows up in the art, he stands out so well against the other characters. It really felt badass. Yes.
I will say the art is definitely, I know a lot of people probably won't respond well to the art. I thought it was really strong. I like that it's a little different and kind of got this like rough around the edges look to it, because I feel like it fits the vibe and tone of the story. I will say some of the action sequences don't play out as well as we're used to seeing. They're not as crisp. But again, it's just the muddied look of this works. And you're right about Azrael. So much of this book is neutrals and browns, and it's just kind of in that safe color story. and then you have Azrael pop up with that red, and it's just so striking. It hits you
really
so hard.
Pops out.
And I didn't write down the colors for this issue, but I mean, it's great work. You know, it's good work all around, and I think if they continue at this pace for the run of the story, like we're gonna have just an awesome just collection and trade that would probably be evergreen if enough people catch on to it.
Yeah, so that one's definitely a highly recommend. I give that one a 4 out of 5. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed the Dark Knights of Steel, even though I'm not all that happy with Tom Taylor. I gotta admit it when I read a good comic book. And hey, I still think Batman sucks, but Batman Reptilian could be enjoyable.
I don't know,
if
man.
You take it for what it is.
I mean, I will say I've enjoyed discussing the absurdity of it, but reading it, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
If you want a story that makes you go, what the fuck is going on? That's the comic for you, and you probably like it. It's so weird.
Yeah, if you like weird, that is for you. That is your alley. Just run with it.
All right, Josh, I do want to say thank you very much for joining me today, and I will talk to you later.
All right, brother. Have a good day. And they've already, I mean, it's fair to say they've already kind of had like a strong hand ruling this area, this land. And I think this is only going to make it worse. Everything
Sorry
all right?
about that. No, I just
okay.
I had an alarm still set.
Oh, okay. I saw you looking around. No, I couldn't hear it.
Oh.
So.
Did you finish your thought?